Sixth grade. How are you guys doing? Happy Marvelous Monday. I'm glad to have you back here in history. It was so good to see all of you on our Zoom Bible calls this morning as we went through our Bible lessons from our classmates. Remember to join those calls. Again, we've got the Cougars at 9:30, the Tigers at 10, and the Jaguars at 10:30. So make sure you're joining us. Come and learn. We are going to continue our study through the ancient Greek unit for history. We're jumping in with the story of Pericles. And as we study this unit, you're going to learn about some of the initial sparks of democracy that founded some of the principles that our very country is founded upon, even all of those years ago. So make sure you're keeping that in mind as you're learning. This was the start of it all. This was the start of democracy here with the ancient Greeks. We're going to listen to the story of Pericles today. If you have your textbook handy, turn to page 297. If you don't, or you are used to accessing your textbook online, you can just read the words on the screen. I'll have my screen shared throughout this video. You can follow along there. And as you are listening to the story, I would recommend you take out your history packet, turn to page 121, that's the second page in your packet, and start answering these questions. Now, I do want you to answer them in complete sentences. You guys know, as sixth graders, I have that expectation for you. So answer those questions either while you're listening to the story, or you can answer them after. Either way is fine. I don't need you to turn it into me today, but you should complete it as we're listening to the story because the questions are pertaining to what we're going to learn today in the story. So, all right, let's get going. Let's listen to the story of Pericles.
Pericles, calm in the face of danger. This, my story, is a fictionalized account of events in the early life of Pericles, who appears in this chapter. Young Pericles never forgot the sight of the enemy approaching his city of Athens. He and his dog Ajax were up on the hill of the Acropolis, high above the city. From there they could see the huge dust cloud of the advancing Persian army. Some said that the Persians were 5 million strong. How could tiny Athens resist such a mighty force? A voice echoed in the city below, calling out the warning to evacuate. All Athenians were to leave their homes at once and proceed to the port of Piraeus, 4 miles away. Ships there would ferry everyone to safety. Pericles and Ajax raced home through the crowded streets. They joined their family, who were already rushing to pack up their clothes and evacuate their stately home. 15-year-old Pericles was scared, angry, and confused, but he didn't show it. He always appeared calm, even in the face of danger. He helped his family lock up the house before heading down to the ships at Piraeus. At Piraeus, the docks swarmed with panicking crowds. The ships were packed to capacity. Women and children were being sent to a distant coast, while most Athenian men were shipping out to the island of Salamis, a few miles away. At Salamis, the Greeks planned to fight a final naval battle against the Persian fleet. Along the waterfront, families wept as they were forced to part. But Pericles' family was lucky. Because Pericles' father was an important politician, his entire family was being sent to Salamis. Only one family member would have to stay behind. Poor Ajax, their beloved dog. The ship's officer told them that without exception, no dogs were allowed on board. As the ships left port, Pericles' family grew silent. Leaving their home was bad enough. Leaving Ajax was unbearable. Suddenly, someone shouted and pointed. Behind each boat, dozens of dogs were swimming frantically after their masters. Pericles laughed as he caught a glimpse of Ajax's head bobbing above the waves. Not even Athenian dogs were willing to live under Persian tyranny, the rule of a king. It was fear of tyranny that had motivated the Athenians to join other Greeks in resisting the Persian invasion. Like many Athenians, Pericles probably viewed the Persian War in political terms. Athenian democracy against Persian tyranny. After all, he came from a very political family and would grow up to become a leading politician. His father and his mother's uncle were supporters of democratic government in Athens. In Athens, power was shared among all citizens. This was a new approach to political power, quite unfamiliar to the Persians, who simply obeyed their king. Even now, from the ship's deck, Pericles was watching democracy in action, for the decision to evacuate their city and continue fighting had been made by popular vote. When the family disembarked on Salamis, Ajax bounded in from the sea, drenching them all as he shook himself dry. But the family's laughter was short-lived. They knew that the powerful Persian fleet would soon arrive in hot pursuit. They feared that the next day, when the Greek ships faced the enemy, the entire Greek navy might be destroyed. That night, they saw Athens burning in the distance. They mourned for their home and for the beautiful temples on the Acropolis. All seemed lost. Yet, the next day, as the battle unfolded, they watched in astonishment as the Athenian and other Greek ships fought back hard. Slowly, the Greeks gained the upper hand. The family celebrated as the last Persian ships fled, giving the Greeks a decisive victory. The naval battle of Salamis, fought in 480 BC, became a turning point in the war. When his family returned to Athens, Pericles dedicated his life to restoring the city and strengthening its power. Years later, Pericles helped bring about a golden age in Athens, the world's first democracy. He always remembered the lessons of Salamis, when a tiny democracy stood up to the world's greatest empire. Based on this story, how do you think the Greeks viewed political power? As you read the chapter ahead, think about what Pericles' story tells you about life in ancient Greece.
So there you have it, the story of Pericles. And we can see from this story that they thought political power should lie with the people. This was a true start to a democracy. They fled because they didn't want to be under that Persian tyrant king. So keep that in mind as you are studying this ancient Greek chapter and looking for how their democracy did in fact start and spread. Now, I know some of my animal lovers were a little scared in the middle of that story, but don't worry, it worked out okay. Pericles was reunited with his beloved Ajax the dog once they got to shore. So the dog did not perish at sea, nor was it left behind in the battle. Remember, after you are now listening to the story, you are going to go back and complete your page 121 in your Greek packet. I don't need you to turn that into me today. You will not need to turn in the worksheet pages day by day. I will collect those all at the end of our Greek unit. Just turn in the quizzes each day. As you complete the quizzes, make sure you're turning those in. But as far as the worksheet and the rest of the packet, I'll collect those at the very end. So thank you guys for listening. Make sure you're using complete sentences on those questions, and I will see you later. Bye.